Hey, good morning. It's funny how we make ourselves believe things sometimes that a few sips of this beautiful thing in front of me over here, that this is waking us up. I suppose scientifically and all that, it's been proven, there's stuff inside coffee that makes us catch a wake up, and in teas and all these beautiful things. And but because believing those things, because of how we say certain things like, "No, coffee wakes me up." The more you say it, it's going to become a thing. It's going to be like it because you're speaking it, but we don't really need to. It's just actually getting moving. I think is the important thing. Get the heart pumping, get the blood flowing. That's what actually really wakes us up, I feel. And if I look at my mornings, it's definitely the case. I often get a thought very quickly in the morning, and then it takes a little bit of time that I spend with the Lord to form thoughts and phrases and things around that. It's fun. It's a fun journey to see how that develops and how things like that change. But I find myself currently in a season where things are definitely changing around me and for me, and it's spaces where I need to make decisions and things as well. But it's not the normal kind of change. It's a different. It's other than normal, man. Now things change all the time, of course, because if you're not moving, then you aren't changing, and if you're not moving, it's also for me it's seen also as you're not progressing. As jy stil staan op 'n plek, that means you're not going anywhere. And you can't even keep the same pace almost, I want to say. So you got to keep changing, you got to keep adapting because no 2 days are alike. Nothing is the same. Things are changing all the time. I'm sure you've heard many people in your life say that change is the only constant. We've heard this time and time again, and it's true because it changes every single second. Things change. You'll never have today again. You'll never be as old as you are right now. You'll never be as old as you are today again, ever. You'll never you'll never have worked as long at a place as you have today. Tomorrow you would have worked there a day longer. You'll never know somebody as long as you know them right now. There's many different examples that I can use, but some of the time periods can even be shorter. Your life can change in an hour, in a second, in a minute. Your whole life can change. A whole situation can change. You know, it takes a lot of preparation, for argument's sake, for people to get married. For some reason, I'm thinking of that now, where people take weeks or months or however long it is that some people tend to take to plan their wedding and get in there. And then they get to the day and they say, yeah, but it took months for me to get married. No, it didn't. It took a moment for you to get married. That pastor, that preacher say, do you say I do? I do. Bam, 1 second, your whole life changes. But it took the build up to that moment was a time period of, I don't know, whatever it is, however long you've been planning for this event, any event for that matter. It takes time to build. It takes time to build into it. That's because, as I've said recently, you've got to grow for where you need to go. The journey that we are on, things need to change. And the important thing is that a pastor said yesterday, it was so good because it's actually the truth, and it's actually so simple and obvious that people change for two reasons: because they want to and because they have to. That's the only two reasons people change. And they have to change. Oh, that's not a nice change. And you can't. I don't know. I've seen movies and series and stuff in my life, and I've heard phrases like "adapt or die." Okay, that's a bit harsh, but but it pretty much means you better fit into your surroundings. You better change to survive or live. We're not here to survive. We're here to live. But just get the picture though. It's like that person needed to change. They were forced to change. They have to change. They had to change to fit into the environment that they're in, to make it work where they are. That sort of thing. And I've mentioned recently as well that you are fully equipped already. Everything you need for what you need to do is already in you. God created you like that with the stuff that you have. But now you need to grow into it. You need to develop it. You need to hone your skills and your abilities and your character. You need to adapt. You need to take a second, first of all, to find out what it is if you don't know yet what God needs you to do. But you need to change the way you do things, change the way you react and act upon things and see things and look at things and perceive things. That needs to change. It needs to get better. You need to grow into some of the things. Some things you will be naturally good at. I can't say perfect at because I don't know if perfect is a level that we can ever achieve as humans. We strive to be like Jesus. We can never be Jesus. But some things you'll be naturally, it'll fit right into the spot where you need it to be. Other things will take some quick development. Some things will take long and foreverness to develop, But that's the thing. That's constant change. And we've got to remember something very important to remember is that we can't change it. Only God can change things. The same way that we can't change other people. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. Inevitably, it's a change in the heart that makes a horse that's not thirsty drink. Unless a person realizes that they're thirsty, they will never drink. And that realization, I feel personally, can only come from Jesus. It's only God that makes you realize how thirsty you actually are. And then you make that decision to drink because he doesn't force himself on you. God only changes you if you allow him to change you. If you allow him into your mind, if you allow him into your heart. Now, Romans 12, you've heard me bring this out many a times. My favorite two verses in Romans 12, verse 1 and 2. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present yourself, your body, as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And now it says reasonable over here. Get that. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That you may be the proof of the will of God. Man, come on. But this verse 1 was jumping out at me this morning, because presenting yourself, that's a choice you make. Presenting yourself a willful sacrifice. You are choosing to be a living sacrifice to the Lord. You are choosing to present yourself to say, here I am, God. That's a choice, man. That's a choice for change. Man, come on. Yeah. And then, you need to get out of what it is that the world is doing. Do not be conformed by the patterns of this world. And that is, get away from what the people around you are doing, what the world is doing that's not to the glory of God. That's as simple as that. I'm realizing more and more lately in these days that anything you can do, if you do it for the glory of God. I like to quote something of a movie out of Facing the Giants, one of my favorite movies of all time, where the guy asks the coach, do you think God cares about football? And he says, God cares about your heart. He cares about your faith. So if you live your faith out on the football field, then yes, God cares about football because he cares about you. And that is so important that, if we get to live out our faith in whatever it is that we do, God created you to be good at what you are good at. So you can be a faithful servant, a willful servant, presenting yourself to him, a living sacrifice in the space where you are, at your job, at your sport, at whatever it is that you are doing. Man, now the changes I felt that started recently happening around me are quite massive. But in one little step, God opened up the things for me, gave me the signs and all these things that we generally ask for, that I didn't ask for in this instance, but he gave it to me. I said, Lord, okay, I'm going to take a step. I feel you leading me here. I'm going to go here. And man, those left field sessions that he brings out, little teachable moments, just because I chose. And it still doesn't feel like the easiest of changes that's coming for me. But, I have the strength, but I want to be of good courage. Psalms 31 says, in verse 24, it says, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all you who hope in the Lord. Be of good courage. You can't ask God for the courage. You need to be of good courage. Ask God for the strength, because he'll give you the strength. He says, and he shall strengthen you. He shall strengthen your heart. He shall strengthen you. But you can ask God for courage, I suppose. You can ask God for anything. But it's just important how I understand the scripture. But again, it comes with the perceiving. Some people might see it differently to me, which is fine. That's where conversations can become fun about the Lord. But may you find today the way that God is leading you. May you have the strength to be of good courage, to take the necessary steps, to choose the change. Whether you see it right now or not, though, the change that God is making for you, in you, and for you, and in your life, that change is the best thing that's ever going to happen to you.